Hey everyone, welcome back to Python Learning. In this video, I'm going to discuss about, else statement. In previous video, we discussed how to check condition and how to make a decision when condition is true. Now we have a question like, what if condition is false? How do you make a decision? That's where we have a concept called as, else statement. So else condition in Python provides an alternative block of code, or it helps in making alternate decision that executes when your if condition evaluates to false. Okay, and if else has a interesting syntax, it's like pretty much similar to your if itself. Okay, but the thing is, first we start with if and its condition, and when this condition is true, we just make our statements related to that. What if condition is false? Then we just jump to an else statement, close it with a colon, and then write an alternate or the decision related to a false condition. This is the syntax of if else. Start with if, condition, close it with a colon, and then statement related to your if when condition is true. What if condition is false? Then just write else, close it with a colon, and then make alternate decision when condition is false. Always remember, when it's an else statement, you're not supposed to write any condition. It's just an alternate decision that we are making. Okay, so based on the syntax, let's try answering few questions so that you'll understand it better. Okay, so very first question, voting eligibility. So according to my question, it says that create an input function to take Rida's age as input and verify whether Rida is eligible to vote or not. If Rida's age is 30, just you have to write a program just to ensure whether she is eligible to vote or not. You should write two statements. One, if it's satisfying, and if it fails, like what should be the other case. Okay. So to answer this, first I have to take an input from Rida, right? So it's expecting to take input from user. So I'll just say like age is always an integer. I'll call integer of an input function. Okay. And then what I'll do is you can also enter here like some text. So enter the age. Okay. Yeah, done. So now I'll just write condition if age was greater than or equal to 18, right? I just want to make a statement like, I'll use some format. I'll just say that, Rida is eligible to vote. Okay, I guess like format is not required. Yeah, I can just say Rida is eligible to vote. What if Rida's age is less than 18? In that case, just write else and then write statement related to that saying Rida is not eligible to vote. Okay. First, let me enter Rida's age, which is 30. So clearly your if condition is true because 30 is greater than or equal to 18. When 30 greater than or equal to 18, what it will return? Obviously, it gives you statement like, Rida is eligible to vote. Hope you can understand. So clearly 30 is greater than or equal to 18, which is a true condition. When your if condition is true, it is going to give a statement related to your if condition, which is Rida is eligible to vote. Now, what if I enter number which is less than 18, like a 10? So it is giving me statement like Rida is not eligible to vote. So that means, so clearly 10 is less than or equal to 18, right? It's less than 18. That means your if condition is failing, false condition. So when your if condition fails, it will jump to an else and it's going to make a statement related to that else, which is Rida is not eligible to vote. Hope it's clear. Okay, next interesting question. You need to define an input function to take an integer and then write a condition to verify whether number is positive or negative. Okay, we'll take number. It can be integer or it can be float. So I'll just use input function as the float of input, and I'll just ask it to enter number. Okay. So it can be any number, integer, float, anything works. Whether it's positive, negative, all works. Okay. All right. So now I'll just check a condition that if number is greater than zero, we know that, we see number is positive only if it's greater than zero, right? I'll just print, I'll make a decision like, Okay, I'm using format so that every time I enter a different number, my statement should be like correct. It should be related to what input I give. So I'll just see that number is positive. What if number is not greater than zero? What if it's a negative number? Then it has to print or make a decision like number is negative. Okay, now let me enter some positive number, which is 30. So it's making a decision like, okay, number is positive. That is 30 is positive. So now what if I enter some negative number minus 20? So clearly our if condition fails, now it will jump to else and it's going to give a decision like, okay, minus 20 is negative. This is how you check whether number is positive or negative and you make a decision. Okay. So next interesting question, how do you check whether number is even or odd? So again, same thing, I'll just take a number, I'll just use like integer of an input. So basically, yeah, yes. And then I'm just giving a condition like, we see number is even if it's completely divisible by 2. So for that, I'm using modulo operator. Modulo tells you the remainder, right? If number is completely divisible by 2, that means remainder is going to be 0. If number modulo 2 is equal to 0, it has to print that number is even. Okay, what if it's not completely divisible? Then just use an else statement and make an alternate decision that is number is odd. Let me enter an even number which is 10. So clearly 10 is divisible by 2. It's going to give me like, 10 is even. I'll take up a same code and let me test with, some odd number. I'll enter a 5. So clearly 5 is not divisible by 2. Remainder will be 1. It gives you a statement like number is odd. Hope it's clear. Okay. So we'll move on to the next question, which is how do you check whether given string is palindrome or not? You know what are palindromes? Palindromes are something like when you try to read them from left to right or right to left, it's gonna be the same. See, mom, dad, madam, okay, level, okay, race car. So these are the different words. Basically, when you read from left to right or right to left, you get the same thing, same names. We call them like a palindrome. So how do you check this? So let's say I just want to take input from user. Basically, palindromes are like a string, right? So I just want to take a word. I'll say word is equal to what I'll do. Input function. Input basically takes string input from user, right? So I'll just say like enter word or enter text. Okay. So I'll just write a condition that if word. So when you say a word is palindrome, when word is same as reverse of a word, and you know how to find reverse of a word. How do you find reverse of any string? So I'm just checking if the word is same as reverse of a word. Reverse of a word is basically found using double colon minus 1. Okay, if this condition is true, it has to print. It has to print. Let's use format. Okay, so word is a palindrome. So what if it's not a palindrome? Then it has to say that word is not palindrome. You can just copy paste. See, now I'll just try to enter level. So clearly level is palindrome. See, it sees that level is palindrome. See, it sees that level is palindrome. Let me enter mom. See, it sees that mom is palindrome. So now let me enter something which is not a palindrome. I'll enter sequel. So it says that sequel is not a palindrome. Hope it's clear. Okay. So next interesting question, divisibility check. You have to write a program to check whether given number is divisible by 5 or 3. So you have to check any given number, whether it's divisible by either of them. Okay, I'll just take an integer from user. Okay, and then I'll just write a condition that if we are expecting number should be either divisible by 5 or 3, not by both, either of them. So I'll just use a modulo. If number modulo 5 is equal to 0, since either of them, I'm just using OR operator, and then number modulo 3 is equal to 0. If number is divisible by 5 or if number is divisible by 3, I just have to print, I just have to use a format saying number is either divisible by 5 or 3. Okay, else I have to make an alternate decision saying number is not divisible by both is not divisible by both 5 and 3. Okay, so let me run this. Let me enter 25. So clearly 25 is divisible by 5. So it says that it's divisible by any one of them. And what if I enter, 17? So clearly 17 is not divisible by both 5 and 3. So that's the reason it says that, okay, 17 is not divisible by both 5 and 3. Okay. Next, one more. We have two more questions. So create an input function to take a student marks. So let's take an integer of an input because marks is always an integer. And then we'll write a condition that, if marks is, it says that if marks is greater than or equal to 40, it should be like a pass. So you have to print a pass. Else, what we have to do? It has to print fail. Done. So I'll just enter 80 marks. It's going to be like a pass. If you enter any marks which is less than 40, it's going to be like, yeah, I'll just enter 30. It seems like a fail. I hope this is clear. If else, one last question related to an if else. Define input function to take a temperature. And if temperature is greater than 30, it has to print it like a hot day. Otherwise, it has to print it like a pleasantly. Okay. So I'm just taking integer of an input. If temperature is in decimals, you can also take like a float hours. Okay, and then just write a condition. If temperature is greater than 30, it has to print it like what? Hot day? Because temperature is high. Else, we have to print it like, okay, normal, or we could just say like a pleasantly. If I enter 35, it's going to be like a hot day. If you enter temperature less than 30, it is going to be like a pleasant day. Well, this is all about, if it's conditional statements. I hope it's clear. Happy learning. Thank you.